When Peter Pan chose to grow up, Neverland ripped itself apart. That choice, simple as it seemed, shattered the one rule that had kept Neverland alive for centuries: belief. It began not with a war, but with a whisper, a strange silence in Peter's chest, a yearning he could never explain. One night, after the lost boys fell asleep beneath the stars, Peter stood by the edge of the lagoon and asked a question he'd never dared before. What if I grew up? That single thought splintered through the island like a crack through glass. Before we dive into this twisted unraveling, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts, because what you're about to witness is not the Neverland you remember. This is a version no one told you, where magic demands a price, where Tinker Bell's light dims with rage, where growing up is the ultimate betrayal. And Peter? He isn't flying away from pirates anymore. He's running from what he unleashed. Let's begin with the moment it all started to change. The first time Peter Pan envied the world he left behind. Peter had watched Wendy leave years ago, but something about that memory had begun to sting instead of shine. He replayed her stories in his mind. Not the fairy tales she told, but the way she spoke about her brothers growing taller, her mother's gentle hands, the smell of bread baking in a warm kitchen. He used to laugh at those details. Now he clung to them. At night, when the moon cast silver shadows across the treetops, he would sit alone, wondering what it felt like to be missed not as a legend, but as a son. The lost boys didn't notice at first. He still soared through the skies and teased the mermaids. But his laughter came half a second late, and he flinched at the sound of ticking clocks. One evening, when a boy asked what they'd do tomorrow, Peter hesitated. That had never happened before. The island itself seemed to twitch. Flowers drooped slightly, and the wind over Mermaid Lagoon faltered. Tinker Bell watched him with narrowed eyes, sensing the shift. Her glow flickered, not from exhaustion, but something closer to fear. Peter began gathering things he never cared for before. A book left behind by Wendy, a pair of shoes in the real world, a compass stolen from a pirate ship. He didn't know why, only that something inside him was changing. He stared at his own reflection in the river, suddenly unsure of the face staring back. It was still the boy everyone adored, but in his gaze, a question bloomed. What if this isn't enough anymore? That thought echoed louder each day, until even the trees seemed to whisper it. Tinker Bell confronted him near Skull Rock. Her voice, usually sweet, was razor-sharp. "You're breaking the spell," she hissed. "You don't understand what you're doing." Peter smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Maybe I don't want the spell anymore." Her wings beat faster, frantic, her light pulsing violently. "You can't just choose to leave this place," she said. "You are Neverland." That truth hit him harder than expected. Was he a boy, or just the island's prisoner? That night, as the stars dimmed slightly for the first time in centuries, Peter sat with a choice. He could forget the ache and return to the fantasy, or follow that ache and abandon the only place that had ever known him. But deep down, he already knew he wanted to grow, and something in Neverland knew it too. Peter vanished for days. The lost boys searched the forest, scaling cliffs and diving beneath the waves, but Neverland had started to shift. Paths twisted, familiar places disappeared, and time itself warped like a dream unraveling. Some boys aged overnight, others forgot their own names. The island was sick, revolting quietly, punishing their leader's betrayal. Tinker Bell, frantic, sought out the old corners of magic she once avoided, whispering to ancient spirits of the island, begging them to restore Peter's heart. But they answered only with silence. Even the fairies had begun to fade. Meanwhile, Peter wandered toward the edge of the world. There, he found a part of Neverland no one had dared cross. The wasting shore. A place where memories bled into sand and stars fell into the sea. He met a woman there, neither young nor old, cloaked in shifting light. "You don't belong here anymore," she said. "You are tearing holes with every heartbeat." Peter asked if he could go back. She smiled with pity. "You already left." Her touch was cold as wind through broken glass. And yet, he felt alive in a way Neverland had never offered. Back at the hollow tree, the lost boys began fighting. Their unity had always depended on Peter's certainty. Without it, Fear turned them against each other. Some believed Peter had betrayed them. Others believed he was saving them. One boy tried to fly and plummeted. Another stole a wooden sword and declared himself king. They were crumbling from within. When Tinker Bell returned, glowing with desperate fury, she screamed at them to stop, but her voice no longer commanded them. The island had begun choosing sides. Hook felt it. From deep inside the fog-drenched bay, his instincts stirred. He had always known Peter was a thread holding Neverland together. But if that thread snapped, chaos could be his ally. He ordered his crew to prepare for war, not with swords, but with traps of memory and fear. If Peter's growing up, he said, then Neverland belongs to me. It was no longer a childish rivalry. It was a power vacuum, and Hook intended to fill it. Peter stood at a cliff's edge, clutching the compass when he once gave him. Its needle spun wildly, as if even it didn't know what direction to follow anymore. Below, shadows moved beneath the waves. Shadows shaped like boys he used to know. He whispered, I didn't mean to break it, but Neverland doesn't forgive intention. It reacts to desire. And Peter, by daring to dream of something beyond it, had begun its slow destruction. It began with the trees. Once vibrant and wild, they bent inward like spines cracking under invisible weight. Vines curled around the lost boys' shelters, squeezing them into silence. Even the sky darkened, twilight arriving hours too soon, stars vanishing one by one. Neverland wasn't just dying. It was turning against those who lived in it. And at its center, Peter returned, changed. His eyes no longer sparkled with mischief, but with something deeper, regret. But the moment his feet touched the ground, the island screamed. Tinker Bell was waiting. Her wings, once delicate, were now jagged blades of crystal light. She struck without words, unleashing a burst of magic that flung Peter across the clearing. You broke the story, she cried. You broke me. Peter rose, coughing blood, but didn't fight back. He whispered her name, but she trembled like a candle about to die. If you grow up, I vanish, she said. We all do. Around them, echoes of children's laughter twisted into wails. The spell that held Neverland together was unraveling, and Peter had become the spellbreaker. The lost boys emerged, gaunt and hollow-eyed. Some ran to him, others recoiled. One pointed a shaking finger. You left us. Another wept. Why did you want to be like them? Peter tried to speak, but his voice cracked under the weight of all the belief that had once held him aloft. A young boy, Curly, stepped forward. You promised you'd never grow up. Peter looked down, then placed Wendy's compass in the boy's hand. I lied. The forest howled as the truth left his lips, and the ground beneath them cracked like ice underfoot. From the harbor, Hook's ship rose, not sailing, but floating above the sea, propelled by the fractured magic of Neverland's collapse. The sky burned violet as he aimed its cannons at the heart of the island. This is my story now, he roared. Let the boy become a man and let this cursed place drown with him. He launched fire and memory, not cannonballs. Scenes from Peter's past twisted into weapons. Every lie, every broken promise, every child left behind became a ghost clawing at him. Neverland wasn't a refuge anymore. It was a reckoning. Peter fell to his knees, clutching the earth as it shook beneath him. The lagoon boiled, and the pirate ship's shadow blotted out the moon. But as Neverland began to rip itself apart, trees collapsing, rivers reversing, skies bleeding, he heard a sound beneath the chaos. A lullaby. Wendy's voice. Faint but steady. Second star to the right. He looked up, not with hope, but with clarity. This wasn't about saving Neverland anymore. It was about facing what he ran from for 100 years. Himself. The lullaby drifted through the shattered air, threading its way between explosions of memory and crumbling trees. Peter stood, not as a boy, but as someone older, tired, scarred, no longer fueled by defiance but by choice. He stepped into the burning clearing where the lost boys knelt, dazed and broken. Without words, he extended his hand to Curly. The boy hesitated, then took it. A hush fell over the island. For a breathless moment, Neverland paused, as if waiting to see whether it would be saved or let go. Tinker Bell hovered above, her glow now a cold, blue flame. You're letting it die, she whispered. Peter shook his head. I'm letting it go. She trembled, wings flickering. What will become of us? He glanced around at the broken tree houses, the ghost pirate still rising from Hook's illusions, the stars flickering like dying embers. You'll become part of me, he said. Then he closed his eyes and listened to Wendy's song finish its final note. The moment it ended, the ground beneath his feet solidified, and the skies stopped spinning. But the magic was gone. Hook descended from his ship, blade in hand. But Peter didn't raise his weapon. He looked at the man who had hunted him for a century and said, It's over. Hook laughed, a bitter, cracked sound. You think I wanted this island? I needed you. You kept me alive. Peter stepped closer, and I kept myself from growing. We were both trapped. Hook faltered, eyes dimming. Then, with a final glance at the ruins around them, he vanished. Not with drama, but like a memory finally forgotten. Peter stood alone. The island began to dissolve. Not with fire or fury, but like a dream fading with the morning sun. One by one, the lost boys blinked out, returning to homes they'd forgotten or lives they'd paused. Tinker Bell flew to Peter's shoulder, tears in her light. Will you remember me? She asked. He nodded. Always. Then she smiled, soft, for the first time, and vanished in a shimmer of gold. Only Peter remained, standing in the heart of nothing, until at last a door appeared. It was ordinary, wooden, worn with a brass handle. Peter stepped through it. On the other side, a hospital room, an old man in a bed, machines humming, a young woman holding his hand, Wendy's granddaughter. He's waking up, she whispered. Peter opened his eyes, truly grown, not just in body, but in memory. Neverland had been his escape, but now it was part of his past. He squeezed her hand. For the first time, he was ready to live the life he'd postponed for too long. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments, especially if Neverland ever felt like home to you. Want to support more stories like this? Join our channel members and be part of the magic behind the scenes. More haunting reimaginings are coming. Don't miss the next one.